Welcome back to the press. My name is Dayo Omogun, and I'm bringing in my guest right away so that we can begin to analyze the issues and the news. And my guest this morning is Ben Agunloye. Many of you have met with him, and those who are going to be meeting with him for the first time, I can assure you that this is someone who has capacity to do proper justice, proper articulate analysis of the issues as they come. And so, Ben, you're welcome.
Good morning, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, Ben Agunloye is his name. You're welcome. Now, I'm sure you've seen some of the news headlines.
Yeah.
All right. So we probably will just focus on a few, about 3 or 4. There's been this clash, the clash between the security forces and bandits in Niger State, which has left several people dead. I think including soldiers and in quite a number of soldiers for that matter. Some reports say 17, some reports say 20 and all that. So what do we make of this? Just a few weeks, just about a week ago, the president was in Benue because of herdsmen attack on some settlements, some villages, Yelwata to be precise, where 200 people were alleged to have been killed. And the president went there, commiserated with them, and gave them hope that such things will not continue, and whoever was behind that incident would be brought to book. Just a few days after, we had the issue in Plateau again, where about 12 were killed. And now here we are in Niger again. And so you begin to wonder, the Nigerian on the street is wondering, will this ever stop? And what do we need for it to stop?
Well, will it ever stop? The answer is yes. It will stop. It's just that we need to speed up some of the actions that are ongoing. And of course, I think that the military hierarchy and the security system also need to change their modes of operation. When you, now as a child, right, as a child, when we know that this is the time the teacher will come, we know exactly when to do our rough play. And we know exactly when to sit up
and behave.
And even if it will amount to pretending. But the fact that a notice had been given means that the culprit have opportunity to adjust. So you don't tell me, oh, next week you are deployed. Even if you like deploy 10,000 special forces will get there and they won't meet anybody. 10,000 special forces can't be on their way there, and those they are going to meet will have changed position and decide to lay ambush. They are not planning to win them. It is just show them that they also can do some damage. So to a basic extent, I think that we need to be more careful and more discreet in information dissemination. Take action and let's see the result of the action. Not tell us your plan, because when you say your plan to the whole world, it becomes very possible for people to prepare for you, either by running into hiding or laying ambush to create damages and make the challenges more difficult. So basically, I think that is one aspect. The other aspect, of course, is the need to speed up with the processes. Now, the president has spoken more than a month ago about establishing the federal forest guard system. As we speak today, where are we on that process? Because that is one sure way going forward to help the system. When you have the forest guarded by people who are from the contiguous zones where those forests are present, it means that they know that they are being paid to guard their own home. I think it will be Nehemiah in the Bible was that example. When he needed to rebuild the wall of Jerusalem and prevent the breaches, what he did was to say, look, everybody should walk on the fence nearest to their home. So you don't need transport fares, you don't need any extra logistics, you just need the material for the work. But basically, when you build a wall, you are protecting yourself and you are protecting everybody. So by now, we should be seeing what are the actions. When will this force be recruited? Where will they be trained? It is not that we have spoken about it, everybody made noise over 1 week, and then it has gone to rest. So it shouldn't be. We should see practical steps. So if the forests are guarded appropriately, then you are sure that bandits and criminal elements will not use them as homes. And from there begin to launch surprise attacks at the people. So if that is done, that's a good one on that side. The mining, the Ministry of Solid Minerals sometimes was talking about mining forces. I wouldn't really know how far they have gone with them and how connected they are with the other agencies to ensure that the work is done. Then, of course, in areas where there are not forested, maybe savanna, where what you have are just farmers, I think that could then be effectively policed and managed by the agro rangers coming from the civil defense. Because if you are talking about forest, I don't think that grassland should be treated as forest. Farm steeds should not be treated as forest. So agro rangers should be in those areas. The forest guards should be quickly employed, trained, and let them be in the forest.
In proper
so
forest.
So that the police can begin to also walk on the road. When this is shared, we will know definitely that one, information will even be coming not just from non-government or non-state agencies or non-state actors, but the state actors themselves would have a higher capacity to network and to give information. Then, of course, for Niger, it's sad that the soldiers are dying, but it's still more appropriate that it is the soldiers that is facing them and not that they are having a run through the city, killing everybody and burning down the entire houses, as we have seen in Benue and in some other places in the past. So that they are even engaging them at all tells you that at least we have moved away from where we used to be, where it is after that they've done their havoc and they are gone that we are getting reports. So if there is a confrontation, it means that at least we have made some progress, and we are hoping that in no distant time the confrontation will actually be that the bandits will be totally silenced. So I believe that there is an end in sight.
Strategy needs to be rejigged.
Yeah. The military definitely need to rejig their strategy. You don't tell somebody you want to catch, I am coming. Except
just like we saw in this encounter between Iran
and US
and Israel, and when US was to intervene, they just went quietly, but it was after they had done
that's what it should be.
Brought it out.
That's what it should be, because you do not have enough forces to cover the entire area. I keep saying it, if we take all our soldiers to Niger, there will still be ungoverned spaces for the massive nature of the land that is available in that state. So it means that we need to be discreet. When we are done with what you needed to do, then
I think it actually applies everywhere, whether the state is small, whether the state is or large. I think being discreet about movement of forces should be a standard. I mean, you don't tell somebody, I'll come and catch you on Thursday. For somebody who is not, like they say, that is only a tree that sees danger moving towards it and remains there.
At that point, yeah.
So I think that that's a very solid point that we must work with. I do hope that the military hierarchy are watching this, and that we can all put our heads and minds together to ensure that we have a better situation in Nigeria. We can't be having killings all over the place. You move, you talk about Benue, Yellow, and you're talking about 200 human beings, not 200 pieces of insects. I mean, human beings. And then right after that, Plateau records another 12 killings. And then if you add that to the several number of killings in Plateau, I mean, Nigeria has just simply become a killing field. This shouldn't be so, and it should not be. I do not think that our military can be overwhelmed by this. In actual fact, one of the reports in the newspapers today said the military generals, I think retired also, are alarmed and saying that, look, it's failure of intelligence for their soldiers to be killed that way. So I really do think that Ben has said it all, but I think also that part of why these things continue is that there are no consequences for failure. There are no consequences for dereliction of duty. There are no consequences for inefficiency, for inability to deliver the mandate that is committed to your hand. There are no consequences.
You see, I always say this when we come to the speed of our security system, right? In the Southwest, there are always two adage that is apt. Number one is the job of security forces and intelligence gathering is a job that you are not sure the person you send will return. And so in the traditional system, they believe that you don't send children of repute whose parents can hold you. You don't send the nobles whose parents can hold you to ransom if their children do not return. Now, between 1999 and 2015, if not up till now, we have recruited more of the nobles, the children of directors, the children and cousins of political office holders, governors, senators, and the rest
of generals
into the security system. So it means that there are tasks that cannot be properly assigned. So we need to look at it critically and bring in people who can do the job and not just people you have brought there because of who they know. You should be recruiting more of people for what they have, for their ability and for their interest to run the system. Now, when you do that, then we are sure that people can go into the rugged task of ruffling the terrain to get results. The last time we saw CBN said people should come and go to Lagos. That is Lagos, not bush. Not places where there are no electricity, not places where there are no roads, not places where they can only go in as cobblers because they need to get information. But there was protest. There was uproar as to why should they send people to Lagos.
And this came from the children of the privileged.
Yeah, because it is the children of the privileged that we have loaded the system with. It becomes difficult for certain assignments to be correctly done. I mean, then the second one that is like
powerful, just to go to Lagos. In fact, Lagos in some instances, in some areas, is even far better than Abuja.
But they are not ready to go. Now, the other one says, Aremo Kijakiwije. That is, the crown prince will never accept he is not made the field commander. Two reasons. A field commander should be ready to throw in his head to the battle.
Yes.
And Aremo, the crown prince, has his eyes set on the throne. So death is not an option. Number two is that even if an Aremo fail on the front and you bring him back home, he cannot be sanctioned. But if any other person has become a Akeweja and he comes back, if he fails, you will punish him. But an Aremo cannot be correctly punished. So when you are talking about consequences, we have taken some people into the system who cannot be adequately punished because of the circumstances surrounding their employment and the nobility of their status.
Wow. This is unfortunate. This is very, very unfortunate. Well, let's take another issue before I will open up the phone lines. I hope my viewers are watching and listening. This is deep. This is deep. When the children of the privileged are brought into the army, into the security forces, I mean, is it for decoration, or is it to ensure that security is maintained? That's an issue for the military authorities. That's an issue for even higher authorities, the presidency,
the civilians,
even the politicians to take a look at. To take a look at who and who are being put in these forces. I mean, that's why you get worked up, you get angry and say, how can a ragtag army of bandits, of all these people, just draw circles around our well-trained soldiers? Well-trained, quote and unquote. All right, so, well, maybe let's take the issue of the crisis in the PDP that has refused to die. Rather than die, it's actually even getting worse, enlarged. What do you make of it?
Well, number one, like I would always insist, the PDP is what we will call an establishment party. So establishment don't solve their problem individually. That's why the governors can gather together and go to INEC. Basically, what business has INEC to do with you? INEC said you have written a letter and the letter is not acceptable. Why? Because the law says your chairman and your secretary must sign. So if you need to change the secretary, you still need that secretary to write the letter calling for a meeting. And when you now call for that meeting that has been properly convened, you can now get a minute out of that meeting back to INEC to say we have removed this fellow as the secretary and this is the replacement, or we have changed our ESCO, or we have decided to have our national convention so and so date. If you have fixed it for November and you think you can't wait till November, then bring it back. Constitute a proper meeting. But because they are an establishment people, they have always believed they are above the law. And so they can do their things their own way without any consequence. Unfortunately, today, they are not in the government at the center. And so they have not been able to push INEC around the way it would have been convenient for them.
Okay, so this is about riding roughshod on established regulations and party policies and party provisions.
It's as basic as that. There are provisions, there are laws, there are rules. There are organs in the party, there are structures. Okay, you even went to court and the Supreme Court said, look, we cannot determine for you who is in what office. The Supreme Court does not regulate parties. They interpret law. So it is for the party, therefore, to do the needful. Now, the same party needed to field the candidate for election in Anambra. You got an Ironwood that you have said is an outcast to come and sign the nomination letter. So if you got Ironwood to sign at that point, what has changed? Because before that Anambra matter, you had already declared him not valid as the secretary. But suddenly, now that matter happens after the Supreme Court case. After Supreme Court said it is you that will regulate your internal affairs, was when they call Ironwood to come and sign. Now, INEC is saying, look, yes, at some point you say it's no Ironwood, but the last memo official that we have from you nominating candidate validly for election was signed by Ironwood. So you go back to your house and resolve the matter. Your letters are meant to be signed by 2 people. Only one person has signed. Now, basically, it also tells you the penchant for being lawless. everybody in Nigeria who knew anything about INEC and party relationship knows that the secretary and the chairman should sign. So why will PDP, with their 24 or 26 years experience, send such a letter signed by one person to INEC? Maybe in the military they will say it's an animal letter. Yeah, because it's not properly, human beings should do things properly. But if it is not properly done or not properly rooted, I don't know about now, but in those days the army will say it's an animal letter. It's, the word anonymous does not exist for them. It's animal. So that's what it is.
That's very sad. I think, like you said, like you tried to explain a while ago, I think that every Nigerian, every person who is of age should learn some basic legal, basic, I mean, do I call it law 101? That, see, if you join others as the trustees of an association, and at a point you remove the person, you agree that, okay, Ben is no longer a member of the trustee, or is no longer the secretary of our company or the secretary of our association. To make it lawful, that same Ben has to first of all, fill whatever forms to say to, whether it is Corporate Affairs Commission or whatever, or to the bank, when you're talking about bank signatories,
yes,
that look, these
are the new signatories.
We are now stepping aside. These are the samples of their signatories. These are our own signatories, which will now become ineffective. I think these things are very simple, but you see, unfortunately, there's too much politicking involved in some of these things. And so you're saying for the first time that, on this particular score, Wike is correct.
Definitely, that's also has been a stand, and
yes,
all of them know that look, we have a rule in place, and this rule should be followed. It's as simple as that. You want me out? Let's have a proper meeting that will constitute. You have the majority. The decision will be taken, and then the decision will be communicated, and that will be it.
This is very sad, because in recent times, PDP has not really projected itself well, considering that you talk about ground rent, and then they were almost being messed up by that, and then you're talking now about for over two, three months now, they've been dragging themselves here and there over the national secretary position. It's very sad.
The ground rent,
for a party that, like you said, has been in existence since 1998, or when people, or I don't know when the parties were registered again, 1998, and then was in power for 16 years. I mean, there are some things. There's a standard. There's a, what do you say now?
Of course, a minimum standard that they shouldn't drop below.
The barest minimum that they shouldn't go below. It's very sad what the PDP is doing to itself.
Obviously, when you talk about the ground rent and the rest, it's still the issue of the establishment factor, for which you have impunity. Impunity of, now we get the state. Any other person is a tenant.
Nothing will happen.
Because otherwise, as the party in power making so much money, that little thing should have been something you pay. Or if you decide to say, okay, we want a waiver, for the 16 years that they were in power, they could actually have gotten a documented waiver for that property, for the party, on whatever ground, whether charity or state factor.
You'll be setting a precedent.
No, what I'm saying is, if they wanted it, it is something they could have gotten. If that is what they have, and today we are arguing over it, right? It will be a different case. But not believing that, not paying and not doing anything about it,
non-issue,
and not doing anything about it is a penchant for impunity.
It's very sad. It's very sad. Quickly, because time's far gone. Let's quickly take. Which do you want us to take? There's the Tinubu signing into law the 4 tax bills today, and What was that again? There was this other top issue. Maybe we'll come back to it, but let's go with the
with the tax, I think it is good the president is signing it. And I believe that when that is done, you will be assigning better responsibilities to people who should pay tax. And we believe that this will address the issue of multiple taxation. Because one of the reasons also why you see reluctance and resistance in some quarters is the presence of multiple taxation, which is this organization, this local government will make you pay. You are paying to the state, you are paying to the federal over the same matter and over the same affairs. Now, what you need to see clearly at that point is that when we sign these things into law, one, they become more effective, our tax system becomes more efficient, and then of course people will now understand what they are to pay, and the laws will be straightforward. That's what I believe, that the new set of law is streamlining the process. To a large extent, is taking out multiple taxation. To a large extent, it's also defining the windows of how payment will be done. To a large extent, it's taking care of who should not be overtaxed.
And
so the tax relief, the tax windows, the tax benefits are being well defined for the first time. Now, one stage is passing the law. The next is ensuring that this law is implemented. I believe that if it is properly implemented, it should become better for the nation. Anywhere in the world, tax is the assured revenue of government. And in many nations, what we call recurrent expenditures are driven by the tax expectations, not by loan. It's only perhaps in this part of Africa that government take loan to pay salary. It should ordinarily not be. Your tax expenditure or your tax revenue is a guaranteed revenue that should have been used to ensure the running of the system, while whatever excess you have is plugged into capital project to ensure that the system is growing better. So I want to believe that when this is done, we will have more predictable revenue from the government.
All right, in 1 minute just before we get to the R10, let's take a look at the 110 applications. INEC says it has 110 applications for political party registration.
Well, you expect that, because in all the existing parties, as to use the president's word, in all the existing political parties, there are internally displaced politicians.
Okay.
So the internally displaced politicians need to find new accommodation. And so the process of finding accommodation will require them to make effort to go back to INEC, because the best place as a politician to get accommodation is to go to INEC to apply for space. But now, how many of the 110 are able to open office in the FCT and 24 states of the Federation for INEC to come and check? If you ask me personally, if they all are able to, I would be excited. You know why? That's a lot of job being created at that level, because those offices have to be manned, must be manned.
Definitely.
So
whatever you do,
those offices must be manned.
Three staff.
Those properties have to be paid for. And so for me, it's an increased activity in the system. But my worry, however, is, do they actually have the capacity to see it through to the end? Are some of them not just going there so that if they are not registered, they can now come back and say it is the president that ordered INEC not to register them? So sometimes there are people who do things just to have an excuse why they fail.
Okay, so from the very point of planning, they knew they were going to fail.
They were going to fail, but they will just do it so that in the end they will say, "Shebi, we wanted to register, they did not allow us."
All right, now, I mean, apart from this, what does it say to you? What does it say to somebody who is watching from the outside? That apart from the existing parties, I even just forgot to pick up that number.
Yeah.
Apart from the existing parties, you now have 110. You know, it's becoming a penchant for multiplicity of things. As we speak, there are 31 proposals for creation of new states in the National Assembly. Or we just believe that, okay, if this is not working, let's just, if it's not working for us, even if it's working for the general good, but if it's not working for a few of us, then we go to town and get another place and all that and all that. It's so sad.
No, it's obvious. You see, when you say internally displaced politician, there are also internally displaced tribe or ethnic group.
And that who are
in different states of the nation. So that's why they will demand, some of them would have to demand state creation.
No,
because they feel that
going that
when you create the state,
they will at least have some,
give them some new level of relevance. And there are some people in some states in the Middle Belt today where they used to be before, the kind of dominance they are trying to claim now, they do not have it. Whether in the east of Niger where they used to be, or even part of those who came from the west of Niger to form that state. We know that where they used to be, some of them do not have the kind of dominance and the kind of force they are trying to man today. So any other person could just see that as a bid that, okay, if we also move away from these dominant people, we can also have our own measure of dominance. But for parties, you expect that. People want to have relevance. It's also going to become a negotiation tool. If you are able to register your party, then you can, at least we saw that around 2018, 2019, some governors who were leaving office realigning, moving to some kind of party, handling to become presidential candidate, all in the bid of, if they get that, then they can decide to go for merger with a bigger political association, and then at least because they now have a party, their own candidate can get the slot of vice president, or they will get some slots as a basis to say, look, let's work with, we will work for you, but these are what you will concede to us when you have the victory. So I think that some of the associations are also being done for the purpose of having a basis for negotiation in the political space.
And power sharing.
Yeah.
Well, I think we just catch our breath, take a break and catch our breath and get right back, and then I will open up the phone lines, and please do call in as soon as we get back from this break. The number is 080-299-38365. Please get ready to join us. So the remaining part of the show will be yours if you're ready to take it. All right, welcome back to the closing segment of the press this morning. I hope you have had a very exciting time, both with the kind of headlines that we have on the papers this morning and the analysis that you have gotten from my guest Ben Agunloye. And at this point, it's your time. Please do call in, and let's see what you have to say concerning the issues that have been analyzed, or anyone that you listened to while the news headlines was being read. Let's have your contributions concerning them. And the number remains 080-299-38365. Please, let's have it right away. So now you were saying we probably should talk about food and
security,
security, storage, whatever. Yeah, let's take it on before we get the next, the first caller.
Basically, we say tomato prices are high. It's not just tomato. There are a number of other crops. one of the biggest challenge.
That's one of the headlines.
One of the biggest
right?
challenge with us as a people when it comes to agriculture is that we have so high post-harvest decomposition for tomato, for pepper, for cassava. We're the highest producer of some of those things in the world, but then majority of what we produce end up being wasted because we couldn't store them appropriately, or because there were infrastructure challenges moving them from the farm to the market. So you will therefore expect that the government of the day at all level, local, state, federal, will pay more attention to storage facilities, to local transportations. Some of them, the wooden bridges, the rain will come and carry it away. Once the rain takes it away, they have to wait till November when the water go down to be able to put a new thing. So government should be able to go back. We've had DFRI in the past. In the days of DFRI, some of the road opened by DFRI, those 7 kilometers per local government or so, till today, some of those roads are being maintained by the farmers to serve them. Even though they have not been tied, they have not been improved. Yes, but that was talking of 1991 to 1993 or thereabout.
1985.
91 to 93. Different style maybe, but most of these activities come up between 88 to 93. So all the ADPs, all the rural roads, they are still there. So it means that if those ones can serve those areas where such were not done at the time, we should begin to look at them. We are not saying governors should stay in dilapidated building, but rather than put 200, 300 billion into fixing government houses that are not adding any revenue to the state, nor is it giving additional security to the masses. I think that governors should begin to look at devolving some of those funds into building rural infrastructure, into building storage facilities,
into even improving the agricultural value chain,
the entire value chain of agriculture can be properly enhanced. So people can go to farm freely, come back home freely, bring their crops to the house environment. If you are processing at home, the result you get is not the same as when you process in the farm. There are things that are wasted and are abandoned because you don't know how to carry them home. But that when there is a proper road and there is a proper transportation, you get them to the street and they are well done. And
indeed, there are a whole lot of items that are easily perishable that if you don't handle well, that we should be specially handled between the farm and the marketplace, or the store or the house, could lead to damage because they are easily perishable items like tomatoes, like pepper and all that. A whole lot of fruit.
Pineapples.
Exactly.
You don't deal well with pineapples. By the time you get to the market, then it's already wasted.
Yeah, that's it. So these are issues that can, if tackled, if properly taken care of, that can actually crash the prices of
definitely
food
if
items.
There is access to the market, the prices will definitely go down because more items will come, and because some of these items are perishable, when you have them in excess, you also want to sell. But at the moment, the prayer is only on the farmers. It's not direct prayer in the marketplace. There should be storage outlets where the government can say, okay, you have produced this volume of plantain, bring it in, we are taking it into store. I don't know if Gombe as a state has a process for taking up excess onions from their field. I don't know if Bauchi has any process for taking up excess potato. Sometimes by the time the potato gets into Abuja or to Lagos, half of them are already spoiled. Half are already spoiled. So those states should have it. A Benue, for instance, should be able to say what happens to mango. Not that you bring a trailer load and half of it is spoiled before you get to Lagos or Abuja. Within that environment, there should be something that can be done to preserve them, to make them at least last a little longer. Not that you have excess in February, March, April, and then by now, of course, mango is out of circulation everywhere. You possibly have to wait again. Whatever was left is spoiled. They are growing on the floor because nobody has been able to tap them. So I think that governments need to sit down at the state level. This is what we have. Write your story. Put it there. Today you have AIs and several other things that can help you with making sure that the story is consistently recited without failing. And then investors can begin to see it. Okay, if I have to come and process orange in Benue, this is what it will cost me. And the logistic cost for taking it elsewhere, this is what it will be. If I go for mango, this is the volume I can get in Benue, this is the volume I can get in Ogbomoso, and you are staking your outputs. Where are my markets? And the rest of that. But until the state have those things properly placed, you will realize that the production and the processes will continue to be haphazard. And as long as it's haphazard, there cannot be proper planning.
Ben, I don't know what's happening, but this is very unusual for us not to have had any call. Maybe there's a problem with the network. So, but if you're there and there's no problem with your own line, please do call us and let's have your own take on these 2, 3, 4, 5 issues that we're focused on. Or very well, if there's any other outside of it that you that evokes your interest. Yeah. So while we wait for that, and we have barely, I'm not sure, we don't even have up to 10 minutes more to go. But well, we'll just continue, and let's hope that that one caller will make it. I'm sure there are a lot of Nigerians who are trying. A lot of people are trying from all over the country, but there must be something wrong with the network, because I know that these are issues that touch the lives of Nigerians. Well, having said that, now let's finalize on 1 or 2 of them that we already took. Now, so now how did the victory, quote and unquote, the victory, how did it eventually get won that as we speak today, the president will be signing?
No, we didn't say
how much it generated.
We didn't said it at that time, if you remember, that look, it is not that those laws were bad. It is that some of those who were opposed to it do not even understand what it is. Okay. It's just seen as, let me just be seen as speaking against the president. Of course, for some other people also, they felt that before the bill goes into National Assembly, the president should have consulted them. So it's a function of people who felt, look, I am angry because I am not carried along. I am angry because it was not first explained to me. But the reality was that at the point where, when you listen to Taiwo, who was the chairman of the committee, he did said, look, we reached out. But some of these people are now complaining at the point when they were reaching out to them, did not actually see
anything wrong,
any need or any seriousness in what is being done. They see it as another jamboree. He just wants to travel around with the public fund, so let him do his traveling. But when eventually they now saw the outcome of whatever he was doing and the far-reaching effect that it was going to have, because like we said, when you say multiple taxation, who are the beneficiaries? When the multiple taxation get paid, does everything actually get to the government coffer? And there are not some agents, some leakages. The leakages are so much that so when you now come and see somebody who is saying, look, if we do this and this and this leakage will be plugged, the man who relies on the leakage to survive will definitely raise an eyebrow. So basically what has been done is, more of the people who were making noise at the time, you allow them time to go and study it and let them come up with their genuine complaint, and let us sit down on the table
and discuss appropriately.
Although we also know that maybe when the proper discussion was being done, there was also a major distraction in the nation. It's about the same time you have the Natasha Gate, when the Senate was looking at the tax law was the same time you have Natasha Gate. So to a large extent, it seems that the process had went quietly, but then appropriately. And so people have come to reason in few adjustments, just like we have suggested at that time. Listen to everybody, let there be a balance, let's look at what we hope to achieve, and then let's go ahead with it.
I think part of the fear at the time was also who gets what, which is a major function of politics. Who gets what from this new? Is my interest covered? Is my interest covered, and all that? And I think that the Taiwo Oyedele committee did a yeoman's job trying to connect with everybody and explaining and trying to make them see reason that this is for the people and there are no hidden traps or something, or hidden schemes. And I think that for me that's a big one for the president. It shows a clarity of vision. It shows that the person knows what he actually wants, and he's ready. Many times he has demonstrated that he's ready not to back out if he believes in a project and a process, in a goal. So, and that's leadership. And I'm not here to hold brief for him, but I think that on one or two occasions when some things come out glaringly positive, they should be acknowledged. And that's what we're doing. And I think that we'll begin to try to round up. Do you have any last lines concerning all that we've said?
Well, my last line will still be, we are in the nation called Nigeria. We are people of diverse orientation. It means that we will need streamlined processes and we need some measure of technology if we are to get the right results. There may not be a blanket arrangement that will cover everybody. Whether we go to agriculture, maybe the product, any product that most people can grow, you will see maybe 24 states. There is no crop that will survive in all the 36 states of the Federation effectively. So it means that you need to identify what will grow where and allow them to run with it. So there should be that connecting the people with the climate and with the right technology to get the right results per time. We have a long history. The post-SAP era, we saw tractors come in to the local government. I think then we have 389 or 489 local governments, and then farmers can go there and borrow. You learn when they come to work on your farm, you fuel, you pay the driver and stuff like that. If we did it then and it worked, I think that whatever agenda we are putting in place now, we need to look at what was it that worked under ADP, what was the failures under ADP, and then use technology now to plug failures, especially in the area of reporting. We know that at the time a lot of reports were wrong, and they were not wrong because there were no people, they were wrong because certain individuals were interested in manipulating them.
Well, so how will technology help you? Because it's baggage in, baggage out. If there are still people with vested interests, they will still manipulate those things. That's why we have the problem we're having with our elections.
No, the thing is simple. It's just like today. Computer-based tests might not have eliminated exam malpractices, but it has reduced it drastically. When you get to that level of people imputing data, it is not everybody, it is not the number of people today who have access to manipulate that will still have that access. And over time, even the few people that are still manipulating can be tracked and can be appropriately dealt with forensic evidence.
All right, this is where we'll leave it today. My guest has been hot, sizzling is the word. His name is Ben Agunloye. I hope that you watch this. I feel for you. I see many of you trying to call, but unfortunately you are unable to connect with us. We feel you. We appreciate you. And we thank you, millions of viewers who have stayed tuned to Kaftan TV, to the press this morning. I believe that you have had the time of your life. You have I mean, this is a fantastic breakfast. And at this point, I leave it by saying thank you to my production team also. And my name is Dayo Mogun. I'm blessed, and blessed to have you. Please join me also on The Polity at 2 o'clock. From 2 to 3:30, I'll be here. Thank you so very much for your passion, for your dedication, for your commitment.